Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside. Woo! Welcome to another edition of Midas Letter RAW.
What else starts with SH? Shoe.
Sheeps.
Show me the money.
Show. Really big show. Anyway, so today, as you may or may not know, it is Tuesday. And
is it Tuesday or Tuesday? Tuesday.
Two for Tuesday.
Tuesday.
At the corner go-to local where I live, on Tuesdays, shots of Jameson's are $3.50 a piece.
I'll take that. No, really? Are they? I love Jameson's.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's pretty much the shittiest whiskey in the world.
How many have you had already?
About 15.
No, you don't like Jameson's?
Jameson's okay. My preference is Tullamore Dew, which interestingly is actually a cheaper Irish whiskey, but in my opinion, better.
Humble
I'm gonna have a hard time selling that. I'm not a shareholder in Tullamore Dew or in Jameson's, so that little banner going across right there is not quite accurate right now. Anyways, big events happening in the cannabis world today. Why are these glasses on my head? I don't need to read anything. What the hell? Ed wanted me to show off my boots again.
Yeah,
just so you know.
Notice
fabulous little fuckers.
The hint of, I'd say, green, as in marijuana. Like you got a little bit of green in your shirt. Love those slacks.
I should show off my pants as well. There you go.
Whoa. Are you pointing?
I'm gesturing rudely. But anyway, so rumor has it we're doing a live show here today, and so on the off chance that is true, I'm going to read from a list of potential happenings that might or might not occur today. And surprise of all surprises, news nurse Ricky Gerwitz is going to read the news at 3:05. 3:20, Denis Taschuk is going to be here. He's the CEO of Radient Technologies, which I don't know if you noticed the transformational lift in their shares lately.
Yesterday.
Edward Fields is here. He's the CEO of DYME Holdings, another U.S. MSO in the making, but with quite a twist on a vertical integration model that is focused on fulfillment and direct-to-consumer logistics while also providing a wholesale service to. Anyways, I'm going to let him do the talking on that when he gets here. 3:40. Sean Cookson is going to ask a question, philosophical and of most pressing importance. Where is my hash?
Can I make a comment right now because it's fresh in my mind?
All right.
What's the difference between a guy who's a bit of a stoner and a guy on Bay Street? Well, I'll tell you. The stoner says, "Where's my hash?" The Bay Street guy says, "Where's my cash?"
That's hilarious. Anyways, at 3:50, Bill Kerr from Argo Gold will be here. 4:15, Jordan Trimble is going to be here to tell us about Skyharbour Resources in a essentially non-stop monologue, which I found it so enjoyable. But I then forgot to mention to him that, you might want to buck up your discourse a little bit. Let the interviewer ask a question.
Were there any questions in the interview?
2.
So it was basically a soliloquy.
Yeah, well, it would have been a soliloquy, but he did pause to let me ask one question, which I thought was generous.
He paused to take a breath?
Well, he went to the bathroom, actually.
Jesus.
Then I monologued for 15 minutes.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, nah, no.
Yeah.
Have you noticed this propensity of people to start up with this no, yeah, no? Let's see if Ricky does that, how many times she does that during the news.
Okay, Ricky.
Thanks, James, and here are the headlines moving markets today. Canopy Rivers has entered into an agreement with CIBC Capital and 8 Capital. The two companies have agreed to purchase, together with a syndicate of underwriters, 11.5 million subordinated voting shares of the company on a bought deal basis at a price of $4.80 each. The agreement will result in gross proceeds of approximately $55 million. Kalytera Therapeutics Inc. announced additional positive interim data from its ongoing Phase 2 clinical study. The study is evaluating CBD for the prevention of acute graft versus host disease following bone marrow transplant. The company's goal is to diminish the risk of developing GVHD that cancer patients face when choosing to undergo a bone marrow transplant procedure. Kalytera believes CBD has the potential to become the first pharmaceutical to be approved for the prevention of GVHD. Emerald Health Therapeutics has entered into a license with Indena of Milan, Italy, to use Indena's CBD extraction technology and contract manufacturing services for CBD extraction. In addition, Emerald has obtained exclusive use of Indena's proprietary phytosome technology for the purpose of developing novel cannabinoid-based products subject to a minimum volume agreement. FSD Pharma Inc. and Solarvest Bioenergy Inc. have signed a non-binding letter of intent. The parties intend to enter into a definitive agreement for Solarvest to conduct research using its algal expression technology to develop pharma-grade cannabinoids. The parties would make mutual investments into one another, and Solarvest would grant FSD Pharma an exclusive license over a subset of the project cannabinoids and certain royalty rights over all other project cannabinoids. Planet 13 Holdings Inc. announced today it served an average of 1,550 customers per day in January, compared to an average of 1,430 per day in December, an 8.4% increase month over month. The Flowr Corporation has submitted an application to list its common shares on the NASDAQ Capital Market. Subject to approval for listing, the common shares will continue to trade on the TSX Venture Exchange under FLWR. Weekend Unlimited announced that Northern Light Supply was one of 10 stores to receive a new cannabis retail store operating license in Alberta. Weekend Unlimited has previously announced an arm's-length agreement to acquire 49% of the company. Green Thumb Industries has signed a definitive agreement to acquire For Success Holding Company, creators of the lifestyle suite of Bebo-branded cannabis products headquartered in Los Angeles. These products are available in more than 125 California and Colorado retail locations and via home delivery across California. Bebo also recently launched a direct-to-consumer hemp-derived CBD line of products and has launched several collaborations, including a CBD-infused drink with wellness brand Dirty Lemon. The company plans to expand the availability of Bebo products beyond California and Colorado with distribution in select GTI markets. And that's your news for today.
Yes, Ricky, what news? What news? Say what news was. Was that the news? The news was good. Was the news good? Was there any good news?
I think there's a possibility, because there were some of the big caps in the marijuana space had their RSI well over 75.
Yes.
And I saw some action today that suggests that maybe a little fight going on between the bulls and the bears here.
Oh yeah? Is it starting to roll?
Roll over a bit, yeah.
Roll over Beethoven! Sorry. You know this silly habit of trying to sing a song to go with any statement has absolutely screwed up my mind. Now whenever anybody says anything, the song from wherever that has anything to do with that pops into my head, and if I'm on the show, I just can't help but blurt out singing it, which is either going to get us a lot more subscribers to the show,
or a lot less,
or a lot less.
No,
let's have your votes right now. More singing, less singing. I'll follow the result regardless,
and I'll do the opposite.
and we'll do the opposite. So you'll start singing more
and enjoying it less. I'll sing it more. Yeah.
So what's the big movers? You know, the one
Afria. I'm watching Afria with
mix of trepidation and glee.
It looks like it.
You got a chart for that?
Yeah.
There's a chart for that.
Okay.
Look, they're all in a bit of a sell-off. I'm looking at the Midas Letter large cap index here, and I'm seeing red.
I know.
A lot of red. Red, red wine. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's.
I'm even starting to make myself sick.
So you know, and here we are. Here, there's Afria. Let's put that right up there, folks. And we got the 3-month up.
Whoa.
We got the 3-month Afria chart up. Now look at this.
Whoa.
From here, from that point on, we had small candles, and then we had a big one, and another big one.
Woo.
And you know what? It can only go so far. And I really almost had the Bollingers up there, and
ball and chain.
You know what? That's that. I don't know what to say. It looks.
You're stuck for words, Ed.
Yeah,
come on,
because it's got a big tail.
Big what?
Big tail and a small.
Whoa,
lick,
poor guy.
You silly wabbit.
All right. So what's that all mean, Ed?
I never really thought it was going to get through that gap. Well, guess what? It did it with...
And then some. Do you think that's because, well, what would be the fundamental driver of that?
You know what? I hate to say it, and not because I know you describe yourself as a fundamentalist.
A fundamentalist Christian, actually.
Yep.
At 5 o'clock, I've got to start praying.
Yeah, and then, you know, and you like to cover all the major religions, don't you?
Well, I do my Buddhist foot washing at 6 a.m.
And the praying to the east.
And the praying to the east, yeah. Basically, all of the prophets and religious figures are welcome at my dinner table.
I just saw something here.
What'd you see? You notice Trust is the only large cap stock in our large cap index that's up today. It's only up 4 cents, 0.39%.
That's the only one? Canopy's down 223. Kronos, look at Kronos, down 257. You know when that RSI, as an example, one indicator gets well through 75, it may not happen that day, but you know
it's gonna go.
It's gonna go the other way.
Right.
And same when it's down, really way down below. So.
Look at the S&P though. So arguably the S&P in a nutshell today is just sideways. It's flat.
It's sideways, but the tail and the wick are almost the same size on the candle. I think that this might be the top.
Really?
Well, I've thought that now for a while, and I've been wrong. So
yes, 5 years now.
I'll be wrong again.
5 years now. Ed Milewski's been calling the daily top, and he's been wrong.
Yeah.
No, that's good. You know, you can't be afraid to be wrong, even all the time.
If you're not long, you are wrong.
Oh, that sounds like
Okay, so SPX, let's take a look. Let's show the viewers.
You know what's funny here is all the stocks that are U.S. operators that trade on the CSE, all of them, without exception, are down. Like all of the ones that I follow, I should say, which are all of them.
I saw a big commentary today in the Globe about...
what's the Globe?
Namaste. Just saying, to your point about the news yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked about, you know, the I guess it's more than just a banter between the CEO and the directors. It's not just light banter.
You mean it's acrimonious and... yeah, well, you know, we talked about that yesterday, and I don't really want to belabor the point. But
we can't make a we don't know.
We don't know, and the bottom line is you can't. It's way too soon to see what's going to be left standing. You know, there's the one thing that I look at, and it gives me a shudder, and I think, well, I'm glad I don't own the stock anymore. Is when the company says we're looking at strategic alternatives. Because that, to any investor with any sort of scar tissue, says these guys don't really have a clue what to do.
Well,
I can sell it quick. What else are we going to do with this?
Look. You know, whatever the market cap is, and you know, we had the water cooler segment on market caps. Just saying.
Yeah. How long was that?
How long?
How long
ago, or how long was the segment?
How long was the segment?
Too long. It was way too long. I thought it would never end.
Considering market cap is...
Okay, so what's the market cap in Namaste? What are their assets? And, you know, the directors are obviously pissed. Somebody's pissed.
You mean pissed drunk or pissed off?
I'm pissed drunk.
Boy, that's very unprofessional to show up at an entertainment gig drunk. In fact, that's uniformly frowned upon everywhere else, I might say, Edward,
except here. Yeah, because in this show, anything goes.
In this show, anything is acceptable.
You look pretty handsome today, I must say.
Ooh, boy, can somebody get this man another drink? Clearly.
I'm just saying, you look sartorially resplendent.
Sartorially resplendent.
That's the word I was looking for.
Well, that's...
Hey, do you know what
I'm going to blush now.
Now, if you were tonsorially resplendent, what would that be? Tonsorially.
I'd be dressed in tonsils?
No. Tonsorially, of or relating to a...
hairdo.
Yeah. Barber. Yeah, that's right.
Tonsorially resplendent.
Did you know that, or did you just take a guess?
No, because
tonsure... Or did you read my mind?
Tonsure is a Chinese derivative of the hair.
Ooh.
So I'm...
Whoa. You're making this shit up.
That's basically what we do here all day, every day, Ed.
So sartorially, clothing, tonsorially, just the hair, but barbershop.
Interesting.
Okay.
I would say that
what?
We have...
you know what? When you stop with that, I'm going to say,
Geez, you know what's going on? I just realized is that I'm wandering hither and thither because my earpiece is dangling somewhere down my back. See, you would never see Andy Bell at BNN do this.
You mean that's not your real hair?
Whoa, where's my earpiece? More whiskey.
Your hairpiece?
Okay. Kirk to Enterprise. Come in, Enterprise. What are we doing? It's 3:16 and I don't know what to do.
Make it so. Make it so.
Oh, excellent. Good work, Scotty. Beam me up.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Beam me up. Beam me up. You know, ever had the...
What?
Did you catch that? Whoa. Have you been doing DMT again, Edward? I used to have to use my fingers to do that, but now I've just got such jowly flesh around here.
You know what? That's my wish, that I have some jowly flesh.
Jowly flesh in a bowl? Or like on your face?
For lunch. What do we have for lunch, please? I'll have the jowly flesh.
Jowly flesh. Oh. What's the catch of the day? The jowly flesh.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. How about since Supreme Pharma went to the TSX large board, they have been on a bit of a tear, and they are one of the few marijuana stocks that are up today. Fire on the TSX up 4 cents to 217 at this time. That's quite the thing. Ain't no big thing, but that's a pretty decent thing. So let's find the green in the sea of red today, shall we?
I think the green's in your pocket.
The green is not in my pocket. The green is the color of a rocket. No, that's just getting ludicrous. Okay, so we can't pull up my screen, but...
What do you want me to do?
Can you pull up, do you know how to pull up the Canadian... Midas Letter Canadian Large Cap Cannabis Index, Ed?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
No.
You want to bet?
What's the symbol?
I don't know what the symbol is, but I know this.
What do you know?
Okay, Midas Letter live. Okay, Midas Letter. Here we go.
Ahoy! Oh, look, there we are. There's us. There's us watching you, watching them, watching us, watching you, watching them.
Jeez. Okay.
Boy, we haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I don't know how to do it.
Okay. Tell you what, throw over your computer. Let me have a go at her. Come on.
No.
No, I'm not allowed near Microsoft devices. Here's the symbol. You know the thing that goes like this?
Here we go. Midas. This is Midas muffler repair. Okay, here we go.
That's the theme song from what famous game show?
You want the large cap or not?
Trivia question. That's a theme song from what famous...
Jeopardy! Woo! Woo-hoo! I win! Oh, I won $1 million! I won $2! Okay. Uh-oh. I got to tell you, we got problems.
What do we got?
We got a major league problem here.
Syphilis?
Okay.
That's a pretty major league problem.
Jesus.
Well, you said big problem.
No, I'm talking about, look at the index. Put up the index, please.
Whoa!
Okay. I don't like this tail here, or this wick. Big wick.
Why don't you like it?
It's too big.
I thought you liked big wicks. Or is that me? Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeehaw!
Are you finished babbling, Edward?
Yeah, that's not a good... We got a bad day today in the cannabis sector, ladies and gentlemen.
And here's the news with Ricky Gerwitz.
You know, it's almost doubled here in like 2 months.
What's that? I'm just kidding. We already had the news. Coming up next, the CEO of Radient Technologies.
Radient Technologies is a Canadian manufacturing company creating natural ingredients for customers in the food and beverage, supplement and pharmaceutical industries. Radient has developed a new technology for the extraction of active ingredients from cannabis and hemp. Its patented microwave-assisted processing technology is based on the selective heating of moisture that is present in natural materials, using microwaves as the energy source. The technology creates a targeted, pressure-driven extraction process. Radient Technologies trades under RTI on the TSX Venture.
Hey.
Is anybody coming? I'm
here now with Denis Taschuk. He's the CEO of Ed. What? We're trying to do a show here. I'm here with the CEO of Radient Technologies, Denis Taschuk. Denis, how are you doing today?
Doing great, James. Thanks very much.
Awesome. I would say, what is the business model of the company? But we've now gotten into the habit of creating that little reel that gives everybody a quick primer on the company. So my question for you, Denis, is who are your clients and who are you extracting cannabis resin for?
Well, we're extracting in Canada. We'll be extracting for a number of the licensed producers, but most notably our strategic partner is Aurora. And as you know, Aurora Sky is about to go into major production, and our expectation is that we'll be quite busy with Aurora for the balance of the year and into the new year. And as we look into 2020, we'll probably be bringing other Canadian LPs into the manufacturing stack. But right now, it's going to be about Aurora.
Wow. And Aurora is a major investor in Radient as well, aren't they?
That's correct. They hold about 15% of the company today. They do have a right to take that stake up to just under the 20% threshold, but as of today, they're 50%.
Okay, so have all of your processes been tested and on Aurora's product, and is it a case where you already know what to expect and what you're going to get out of it, or is that yet to come?
Well, I think it's a bit of both. We've done obviously some preliminary work, but it's awfully difficult to conduct test manufacturing runs on live material given the value of the material. So what we do from a manufacturing perspective as we validate new processes is we'll try to find proxy materials, and guess what? Industrial hemp is actually not a bad proxy for it. So you do some runs, you get yourself organized in terms of your processes, and then you do is you kick into live production and just continue to improve the process over time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the challenges that I know other investors have is understanding how the revenue model works for extractors who essentially provide a toll extraction service. Like how do you project the margin, the gross margin, and the costs? And what exactly is the nature of your agreement with a company that's a client like Aurora, who you're going to do the extracting for?
Well, some of the questions that you ask, I can only be general in nature at this point in time. But what I can say is, as we look at various extracts, we go on a product-by-product basis, and depending on what the nature of the product is, the economics could be as simple as per gram processing charge. It could be because our process generates some interesting economics from things like improved recoveries and purities and such. That has value as well, and so you could see part of the product pricing model be reflected in semi-royalty structure and semi per gram charge, and in some cases it may very well be a royalty charge. It's going to vary from producer to producer and from product to product. Right?
Sure. Okay. Now, earlier this week, you received your standard processing license from Health Canada, and it had an immediate and profound impact on your share price. And I'm curious as to why did the receipt of that license make such an impact on your share price and investor interest level?
Well, I can only speculate. We don't comment on share prices, but what we can say is it's getting a standard processor's license, getting licensed under Health Canada is not, as you know, an easy thing to do. It's months and months, if not years, worth of hard work, effort, consultations with Health Canada. It's a big deal, and at the end of it, for us, it differentiates between revenue and no revenue, as opposed to, for instance, our partner Aurora, where, well, we get another facility licensed and up and running. It's a little different for them. They already have their core licenses in place to generate the revenue. For us, this is a major milestone as it opens the pathway for our revenue profile here in Canada.
Okay, so is it suddenly a case where, like, okay, everybody get in here, we're going to start extracting finally and crank it all up?
It's pretty close to that. We're not, we're not far from being ready to hit the go button. We'll be in commercial production. I'm guessing literally by the end of February, very, very early March, and it's line it up and let's go.
Interesting. So the revenue model is based on the fact that you get material supplied to you, and so there are obvious reasons to be attracted to that as an investor in a space where the future viability of producing cannabis itself, because due to the commodity nature of the substance, gives you an advantage. But to what extent is an extracting company reliant upon producers of cannabis? I mean, is there some pressure on price and margin for you based on the fact that you have to get your cannabis from somewhere?
Well, I think that's probably a midterm question. Right now, it's all about capacity in the industry, as you know. And even if the Canadian market were saturated today, given the developments that we're seeing in Europe and the number of EU member states that are liberalizing for medical purposes, the demand for cannabis, in particular cannabis oils, is going to continue to grow and increase. What we're seeing in Europe as well is that pricing parameters are holding and are better than they are in Canada. So I think until that situation sorts itself out, which I think is still perhaps 2, 3, even 4 years down the road, I don't think you're going to see the same pressure. We're not going to see the same pressures that you might see on the cultivation side, where you can have bottlenecks in terms of capacity. So that's what we're seeing, anyways, and that's what we're expecting to see.
Okay. Is there any plan on Radiant's part to roll out its own products and perhaps become a vendor of extracted products?
I think that's something that we're going to be obviously in close consultation with our friends from Aurora. They have their own ideas about products in the space, and given the fact that historically we've manufactured ingredients for other industries, we're well placed to assess, advise, and perhaps even take control of some of that product development and those different products. I don't think in the next year or two we're going to be interested in doing that. I think we're more about building our capacity over that short term, and I think looking at different forms of product might be a midterm strategy. But as I said, it's one that we would obviously look at in partnership with Aurora at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now that you've got your license, how soon till revenue starts to show up on the balance sheet?
Firstly, it'd be on the income statement, and secondly, it'd probably be, I'm going to guess that.
Good point. You got me there.
It was a trick question. It was a trick question.
What's the income doing on the balance sheet?
Everybody's paying attention here.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm paying attention.
I was kicking him under the table.
Thank you. I would say it'd be March is when we're going to see it, and then our fiscal Q1, which is calendar Q2, is when I think we really start to see the revenues rolling.
Okay, great. And do you think profitability is on the horizon in 2019?
No, I think we're still a bit of a ways out yet. I'd be looking to mid-2020 right now.
Mid-2020. Okay. How much of a barrier do you think your relationship with Aurora will be to extracting products for other major LPs in Canada? Do you think there's going to be some resistance to the idea of giving their product to you, who's also extracting for Aurora as a sort of close affiliate?
Well, I think you can look to the beverage industry or perhaps the tobacco industry, where you'll find that the very big players don't play well together, and I think we'll fully expect that in terms of our customer profile. So, where I think we'll be able to, if to the extent that we have excess capacity, what we'll be doing is looking to the mid-tier and some of the smaller players to fill out the manufacturing stack.
Mm-hmm. And this is obviously a forward-looking conceptual question. Is it conceivable that Aurora could buy the entirety of Radient if the terms could be met?
I think at the end of it, that's a question you'd have to ask them. I'd like to believe that we're an important part of their world.
Right.
How important? That would be certainly a statement that they could make. But at this point in time, I can't comment on that. Okay,
great. Awesome, Denis. Well, it's great to have an update on the company, and congratulations on the receipt of your standard license. We'll look forward to talking to you again in the future. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me again, James. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Yeah.
Extraction.
He's a sharp guy. You know how I know he's a sharp guy? Because he knew that
revenue shows up on the income statement, not on the balance sheet.
Yeah. You tried to trick him, but you know what?
I didn't actually try. I always thought that income went on the balance sheet.
Trying to give you an out. Okay.
No, I use the term balance sheet very colloquially to mean the financials. The financials.
Well, there's more than one.
Yeah. Ed, I'm going to talk to some of the clients, some of the regular viewers now. Ed Legendas here points out that Midas Letter Instagram has 0 posts. Time to start one more social platform to work, guys.
Well,
yeah.
Let's get the media department on this.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to. What did he say?
I know. I can't. They always mumble, eh?
Okay, so anyways, Ed, I just want to point out to you that the Midas Letter account has 340 posts, not 0. So they might be looking at some Russian bot like deep fake. Have you heard this new term, deep fake? Deep fake, where they doctor a video using AI so that I could have Ed saying, you know what, James, any money we make together, you keep it all, and I'll just take nothing. And it's like it's been faked.
That's what you've been saying to me. You've been saying, Ed, you take the money, I'll just take nothing.
Is that what I've been saying? Because that sounds like something I would say. Yeah. You keep the dough, I'll keep the glory.
I'll keep the snow.
Watch out where the Huskies go. Don't you eat that yellow snow. Coming up, we have the CEO of DyonyMed Holdings, Edward Fields.
Founded in 2017, DyonyMed is a cannabis brands and distribution platform supporting cultivators, manufacturers, and brands in the medical and adult use cannabis markets. DyonyMed entered the cannabis industry in the vape cartridge manufacturing category, and following California's adult use legalization in January 2018, expanded from manufacturing into distribution. DyonyMed serves more than 700 dispensaries and is listed on the CSE, trading under the ticker symbol DYME.
I'm joined now by Edward Fields, CEO of DyonyMed Holdings Inc., trading on the CSE under the symbol DYME. Edward, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, James. It's great to be here with you.
You bet. Edward, can we start with an overview of what is the business of DyonyMed?
Yeah, look, this is a cannabis brands company. 50% flows through traditional retail distribution, and 50% of our revenue is via direct-to-consumer. We are the largest direct-to-consumer fulfillment platform in the industry, delivering over 45,000 cannabis direct-to-consumer experiences every month.
Oh, wow. Okay, so do you guys actually, are you a vertically integrated supplier of the product, or do you provide just the fulfillment and consumer experience portion of the transaction?
Yeah, so we have some vertical in Oregon where we cultivate, and we also have, but primarily in California, we're a spot market buyer of product. We deliver finished goods.
Okay, so direct to consumer. Where do your customers get where do they buy their product? Online?
Yes, that's correct. It's an online experience through a great partnership with our friends at Ease.
Okay, and Ease is one of the biggest cannabis courier companies in California, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Ease is a fantastic online experience for finding and buying cannabis. We actually provide all of the fulfillment for Ease in the Bay Area.
Oh, that's interesting. So then you have some...
I think, James, it's worth commenting that the new regulations in California for direct-to-consumer make it possible to now expand our offering to serve customers throughout the great state of California. We've got some exciting news coming about a strategic partnership that makes it possible for us to expand our footprint beyond the Bay Area, and we're doing so under our own direct-to-consumer brand, Chill.
Okay, so is the value proposition from the investment side that there's going to be better margin and better ultimate profitability in a direct-to-consumer model such as DionyMed's relative to the vertically integrated multi-state operator who's trying to run dispensaries as well as grow operations, extraction, bakeries, etc.?
Yeah. Look, we're a brands-focused company. Eventually, the plant gets commoditized, and we think all of the value creation accrues to the brand holders. We really like the strategy that we're executing against. We're delivering product through 700 retail doors today. We're delivering product direct to consumers a la an Amazon Prime-like experience. And, there's tremendous growth of opportunity available across the space, both here in California. We're in Oregon. We announced Nevada earlier this month. We're super excited about developments in Colorado, and we've also announced Massachusetts. This is the national footprint that we think leads to the kind of premium for investors looking for a long hold experience around actual cannabis brands. Great brands like Winberry Farms, for instance.
Sure. Can I inquire on behalf of interested investors everywhere, what is the pedigree of your team in terms of developing national direct-to-consumer strategies like that based on brands?
Yeah, look, we have a world-class Silicon Valley team. We recently announced a new Chief Marketing Officer, Michelle Sitton, both an experienced and seasoned CPG executive from Nestle, worked on the Power Bar business while she was an executive at Nestle, and then moving over to Curaleaf, where she helped the great team at Curaleaf build out a portfolio of exciting cannabis brands. As our Chief Marketing Officer, partnered with a super sophisticated, data-driven Silicon Valley logistics team, we think we're uniquely positioned to play a defining role in the cannabis ecosystem.
Well, you bet. And in terms of competitors on that model, is there much on the landscape currently?
Yeah, look, I think, excuse me, I think there are some great companies doing great work around direct-to-consumer. We're super excited to be partnered with Ease. We have friends at a company called Onalife, which is getting started. There's a great company called Sava, which is doing very interesting subscription, highly curated, sort of very top-shelf cannabis brands. Look, this is an exciting time to be in the cannabis space, and I'd actually suggest that there's while there's certainly a competitive dynamic, and it's getting more competitive, sort of with every passing day. I think there's also this notion that there's a large ecosystem that's trying to find its way as this industry surges and scales into what will be a tens of billions of dollars industry in the next couple of years.
One of the challenges that we're observing is, for example, in the state of Oregon, there was recently published article in the Oregonian that suggests that Oregon is overproducing cannabis at a rate of about 100% of demand. And so I'm curious, how does that situation resolve it, A, and B, how does an entity like DionyMed use that dichotomy to its advantage?
Look, we think time is the most powerful weapon on our side. We are very, very long the space. Our largest shareholder, the Fields family, which I'm a part of, has a decades-long vision for how this industry unfolds. These aberrations across markets, which are really driven by the sort of the artificial barriers from the regulators by state and the federal government prohibition, are eventually going to go away. And you know, James, one of the things I was excited to see today was news from Capitol Hill and in Washington, D.C., suggesting that the House is going to take up another vote with the Democrats now in charge to normalize banking. And if I may, for just a moment, I'd like to simply ask you and all of your investors to be powerful advocates for change at the federal level in Washington for no other reason that it makes no sense at all for the employees at DionyMed and everywhere else in the cannabis industry to be forced to use cash currency for cannabis transactions. It raises safety issues, it raises security issues, and it's simply an unacceptable business condition that the powers that be in Washington can fix. And oh, by the way, the day that the legislation signs for banking to normalize in cannabis, U.S. cannabis stocks triple overnight.
So is that the major barrier holding back the valuations in cannabis stocks that are operating in the U.S., in your opinion, is the inability to efficiently bank and move capital?
Look, at the end of the day, right, a business like ours, which had, trailing, I don't know, $20 million in top line revenue, we're guiding towards a 25 plus $30 million quarter in Q1. I mean, James, doing that business in currency and asking employees to carry it around is a safety and security issue. It just doesn't make sense. It isn't right. And the day that federal prohibition around the banking goes away, capital markets become available in the U.S., normalized banking and credit lines, and the cost of capital plunges. And this is a business that can grow up and, by the way, support hundreds of thousands of jobs, great jobs, at a time when you've got a product that's been in the shadows for decades, is now available to come out and be part of the normal mainstream, sort of American consumer palette of choices for both medical, which I'm particularly passionate about, as well as recreational. Okay, so then as an investor or interested investor in DionyMed, what are the catalysts I'm going to be looking for in 2019 that will sort of bring me to the realization that this is a winning business and a winning business model? Look, I think 2019 is all about execution for the industry, full stop. And when I say execution, I mean top line and bottom line delivery. It really does come down to who's got the team that's ready to scale, who has the balance sheet that can sort of lock in a stable supply chain. We'll continue to see turbulence from some of the regulators. We'll continue to see noise about things like lead and vape cartridges. And thank goodness we're starting to see consistent, very high-grade testing standards. It's our view at DionyMed that the thing that consumers care most about is the safety of the product. So look, I think what investors should be on the lookout for is how well is the business scaling and performing against the plans that were published.
That's a great introduction to the company, Edward, and we're going to follow the story with interest. Thank you for joining me today.
James, it's great to be here with you. Thanks so much.
So when cannabis became legal in Canada, I was pretty excited to buy some hash. But when I found out that hash wasn't part of that legalization, I was a little confused and pretty disappointed. About as disappointing as when my daughter first said the words dada to me. Say dada? Say dada. It still chokes me up every time I think about it. So let's talk about concentrates. Concentrates come in many different forms, but here's some of the more familiar ones. Shatter. And we're not talking about an accident that might happen in your pants after food poisoning. Shatter is a term used to describe an extremely potent type of cannabis concentrate, known as butane hash oil, or BHO. BHO is made by using butane to extract cannabinoids and terpenes from cannabis plant matter. CO2. CO2 oil is the golden liquid used in almost every pre-filled vaporizer pen cartridge. CO2 oil is a clean, dabbable product once removed from the extraction machine with no harmful residuals or risk of toxicity.
And my personal favorite, obviously,
hash. Hashish or hash is made from the resin of the cannabis plant. It is consumed by smoking a small piece, typically in a pipe, bong, vaporizer, or joint, or via oral ingestion, like brownies.
Cannabis is still the only drug in the world that we pluck off a plant, we dry it, we put it in a bowl, we add fire, we consume our medicine. It's incredibly inefficient. So when you have a really good hash, you take that 1/20th of the mass without the plant matter, and you get the same effects.
Though not yet legal in Canada, business is booming south of the border for many companies dealing in concentrates, specifically vape pens designed for THC and CBD consumption.
Our CBD products are now actually in 42 states, 600 retailers. Me and my team went down to Las Vegas specifically in late 2016, early 2017 in anticipation of the Nevada rec market. It's probably one of the best markets to be in. It's about a $50 million a month business right now and growing.
So what's the deal with Canada? Why aren't we picking up some of that scratch?
As we look into concentrate products, I think you get into other jurisdictions as far as legislation goes. So we're looking at, our Food Act and how that's rolled out. So we're making sure that we're having safe products that are getting to the consumer. So I think from a standpoint of legislation, regulations, I think going kind of slow is the right thing. In cannabis, they say always start slow and low. I think that they're taking the same approach from a regulatory point of view.
Supposedly, cannabis concentrates and edibles containing cannabis will be legal on October 17th, 2019. But has holding off given the black market an edge?
We're dealing with the federal government and, baby steps, certainly. And I think, flower is that first step, oils and tinctures, before we get to the more potent smokables. And to me, it's unfortunate that they're not legal simply because they're being consumed every day. And it's, they're obviously missing the tax revenue, but they're encouraging the black market to continue to thrive. There are many U.S. states that are now legal, fully legal, that have a very healthy black market because they were prohibitive or restrictive.
Obviously, some of these products are available from illegal sources such as vape pens or infused edible or drinkable products. So, we're not going to see that totally go away until which time we can legally put safe products into the market. But I think that was always part of the plan, that it wasn't going to be an overnight success where the black market was just going to flip off as soon as the legal market came on side.
This is not just purely for recreational purposes either. Some say there are considerable medicinal benefits to using concentrates over flower, such as regulated dosage.
The delivery method could be different. It could be everything from a nebulizer that you're inhaling to a vaporizer, which is like your standard vape pen, to something in pill or gel cap form, all great for standardizing the dosage to help both patients and consumers, really, so they know what they're getting when they take it.
Traditional hash or something like Rick Simpson oil, which they're speaking about right now, those things need to be in the Canadian market because, again, they're here. They're in Canada, coast to coast. They're even available online. We're not seeing a lot of enforcement, so why not go ahead and get in the business when there's already so much of a market? I want my hash. Yes.
So it looks like we're going to have to wait for concentrates to be legal in Canada. Meanwhile, I'm going to have this song stuck in my head until then. Where has all the hash gone? A long time passing.
Let's cut this agony short.
The government hasn't legalized it, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? For Midas Letter Live, I'm Sean Cookson.
Where is our hash, Sean? When is it going to be legal in Canada?
Supposedly, it might be, well, I mean, Canada is saying, or the federal government is saying that they're going to be, just like edibles, concentrates are going to be legalized October 17th of this year.
And Ed, you smoke hash, don't you?
Yeah.
And what is your preferred brand of hash? Like, I mean, in terms of the black, Lebanese, blonde,
Moroccan.
blonde Lebanese, blonde Moroccan.
Moroccan's great.
You remember the red hash?
The stamp?
I don't remember the stamp. I never bought it big enough that I could see any of the stamp.
You know, I
sometimes
prefer pot, to be honest with you.
Really?
Really?
It's my business.
But it's pot as opposed to a pot. Really? Just weed, yeah.
No, you know what?
I have friends who say they only smoke hash.
That's right.
Well, I grew up in Quebec, and Quebec is like a huge pot or a hash consumer.
Yeah, in fact, we used to get all of our black market hash from Quebec. It all came from Montreal.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, like, after going to this CanTech conference, I saw so many innovative things with concentrates, especially with oils and vapes, vape pens, that just aren't on the market right now. And I'm kind of wondering if they will be.
Yeah, you know, that's interesting, especially like shatter, which typically contains THC above 80%.
Well, yeah, and so does hash is a higher percentage of THC as well. And I think in oils right now, the legal threshold is 38%.
Yeah, so that's just Canada by nature. Yeah, you can't get 151 proof rum in Canada.
No.
You can buy it at the corner store in most U.S. places.
Or with Frank down the street.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know about the concentrates.
You can't get 151 rum?
Not that I know of. I've never seen it in Canada.
But you can get
Screech, what's that?
Screech is Newfie Screech. That's rum made in Newfoundland.
I know.
Right,
what's
no,
it's not 150. It's 80 proof.
Oh.
No,
what about Alcool?
Alcool is still 40%. It's 90 proof, 45% alcohol.
I think it's 100.
Oh, is it 100? All right.
Well, it's
quiz of the day for the audience. What alcohol content is Newfoundland Screech? And I'll expect the answer to be coming from some newbies or we're in serious trouble. All right, so no indication from the government on when hash specifically might be legal.
I mean, concentrates, edibles will be legalized on October 17th of this year. Does that include hash? Does that include vape pens? It's kind of up in the air right now. And I mean, for medicinal purposes, I think it's a very important thing for people to take medicinally because you can regulate oil with a vape instead of just smoking flower, which it doesn't, doesn't regulate very well, obviously. There's so many different types of vapes and contraptions that can actually allow you to regulate how much dosage you're taking. And I think it's pretty important.
All right, well, thanks for that, Sean. In a minute, Ed will be interviewing field geologists from Argo Gold, but first, if you're a fan of the show, then listen to this. If you like the show, you'll love our website. Visit us at www.midasletter.com for interviews with key CEOs, cannabis news, and to subscribe to our newsletter.
Joining me now, we have Bill Kerr, field geologist with Argo Gold Mines. Bill, nice to see you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and I understand you're about to head up to the Woco project, which is your flagship project.
Yeah, it's a property just east of Red Lake, and we're starting a 2,500 meter drill program about a week and a half from now. So I'm going up a week early just to make sure everything is ready for it. It's a helicopter job, so we have to cut pads in advance and cut the water line in advance.
How long will that drill program take you to drill? We're
anticipating 30 to 33 days. It's 2,500 meters, probably 20 holes. We do have a little bit of, we got a heck of a good price on contracts with the driller and the helicopter company, so we might be able to squeeze in a couple more holes in our existing budget if we get good news, and so somewhere around 30 days.
Now I know I know Judy Baker for quite a while, and she's always been excited about this. Yeah. There's been some pretty high grade, quite high grade showings in the past.
Yeah, grade is king. As far as I'm concerned, in gold mines, you need high grade, and the Woco is certainly one of those. It there's multiple ounce assays over multiple meters, and the funny thing is, it's been a known surface showing since the 30s. I mapped the surface showing a couple of years ago, and it doesn't look all that much. It's 70 meters long. It's only about, at the widest point, it's 40 centimeters, the quartz vein, but it really opened up at depth. And it's one of those things that really did open. It was drilled in 93 and 94 by very famous Red Lake geologist Chester Curlew, and all kudos to him. He opened it up. He knew where, he knew the plunge of it, the dip of it, and so we're drilling the first holes since back in '94, and just following up part of that system, and also some other parts of the system that we're really excited about. Right.
And you've got a few slides that we're gonna show here. Throughout this interview. Now there's four former mines not far away from.
Well, the biggest one is the Uchi Lake mine, and yeah, there's the Hinalda, the Jalda, the
there we go.
There we go, and we're just on the south boundary. The Woco Prospect itself is about a kilometer south of the claim boundary. And
it looks like there's a line there.
Oh, it is. It is all major gold deposits, or certainly most of them I've ever dealt with, have in Canada are associated with some sort of break, a major break, like the Porcupine break, the main break in Kirkland, and we're similar here. We've got something called the Uchi break, and that is a controlling factor for all these deposits north of our boundary. And it's also what we feel is the controlling factor for where the Woco is and where the Northgate is, and it's and when I get to the slides, it's grossly underexplored. We think that not only the Woco has potential, but this whole Uchi break, it just opened up the whole strike length that we have right down to our south boundary.
So this is very early days for Argo and this project.
Yeah, it's extremely early. We was just picked up about three years ago by Delio Tortosa and Judy Baker, and field work was all done in 2017, and in 3 batches. I went in first and walked the claim lines and picked GPS the claim posts, and then found the Woco trench and sampled it, stripped and sampled it, and then we went in again a second time and brought in a reflex crew to survey the old collars that were drilled by Chester, downhole survey, so we get better 3D image of the vein gold mineralization. And then the last time I went into Northgate for just a very brief period in the fall and sampled Northgate because it wasn't, Judy picked it up later. So that's the only field work done to date.
How far is Northgate from
well, you can see on the scale on the map here, it's about just under 2 clicks.
Oh, okay.
2 clicks.
Okay.
And so the Woco itself is a
north. Why do you call it different? I mean, is it that far apart that you have to call it a different?
Oh, they're completely separate showings. Yeah, the Woco is oriented north-south. The Northgate,
different veins.
Completely veins. The Northgate's up to 4 meters wide, and the Woco, which we're drilling on surface, is only half a meter wide at the widest point.
But it opens it.
Yeah, we know the Argo opens at depth from the previous drilling. The Northgate was drilled by fellows in the 70s, or the 50s, I'm sorry, and also in the 30s, but we don't have much of the data. So we're going to pop 2 holes in the Northgate just to see what the drill core looks like, because none of this core has survived anything. Even the drilling in 93, 94 hasn't survived.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, if you just want me to go into the slides now,
let's do this. Okay.
And just the point. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. The point of the slides is up to now, people look at Argo and obviously the flagship is the Woco, but hopefully I'll present that it's certainly much more than the Woco. We think there's a camp potential here. So this is
and you've got enough land here.
Oh yeah, we've got lots of land, and the critical thing is we control the southern extension of the Uchi Lake Uchi break. So if we look at the this is a total field aeromag map here, and I'm not going to bother you with with technical things.
The different colors indicate more
magnetic. Yeah, and the reds are highly magnetic, and you see that line coming down just east of the Woco and down to the Northgate. Well, that's the projected Uchi Lake break, and that's the controlling factor for the mines to the north. And you can see it warps around, and the Woco and the Northgate are pretty well about 300 meters to the west of it, and we feel that they're both, something's popping out mineralization there. And the reason it doesn't extend further to the southwest is no one's done any work on it, so we think it actually goes down further.
Okay.
This is when people look at the Uchi mine, because we're saying we're tied to the Uchi mine, and that's our model. And if you look at the bottom here, it says total production, 750,000 tons, 114,000 ounces at a grade of 0.15. You're going to say, oh, so what?
Ounce per ton.
Ounce per ton. That's not very good. So the reason
it's like 5 grams.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a dome guy, so it's an ounce.
No. I'm trying to. You know, I don't.
No, you're right.
I don't even know there's between a kilometer and a mile.
So anyway, if you go to the top line here, number 1 ore chute. Yeah. This is what they went underground on. That's 340 feet long by 28 feet. That's 9 meters by 0.31 ounces a ton. So the question is, how come when you had this type of deposit and you only recovered what went wrong? And there's articles in the literature about the fact that they bulk mined it, and this is a longitudinal section of the mine, and to explain what happened. I have to go back to the Howie-Hasaga mine in Red Lake, which was the first bulk gold mines done in Canada. They were in granites, I think. And I should know because I actually drilled them in '95 for the federal government testing crown pillars, and there's some monstrous stopes. I think one of the stopes was 30 meters long. And they were mined by a fellow called Jack Hamill. And he made a lot of money. People didn't think he would do it. So once they were successfully completed mining in the 20s, right, the next property he went on was the Uchi. And he did the same thing because he made his name for it. He's very famous. And he bulk mined the Uchi and took this 0.31. This is all that's left. We know this is the mine on, this is the zone on surface here. We know it's plunging to the south, but we're assuming it's gone down here. Just for purposes of argument, just this morning while I was waiting, I was looking for, if you took that, the tonnage here, 340 feet times 28 feet wide at 0.31, and you went down, the sort of standard rule in gold deposits is they go down 10 times the width on surface. So one might say that if this is 100 meters on surface, you can expect it to go down a kilometer. That's what Canadian gold Archean deposits normally do. Okay. So I went down 100 meters. I just went 100 meters across, 100 meters down. That at 0.31 is 75,000 ounces of gold. So something has gone wrong here with the mining. And the last thing I'm going to say about this, just to prove that this doesn't happen here, is I worked at Campbell Red Lake Mine. Right. I was resident geologist there from 80 to 87. Then I got transferred to a bigger office in Timmins. But right at 87, about 2 months after I left, at the time, Campbell was the highest grade mine in Canada. It was 0.62. Every year it was 0.62, 0.62. Produced somewhere around 200,000 ounces a year. Very steady. It was all cut and fill and shrinkage and high cost mining, but they had it there and their reserve always stayed the same. And when the merger happened, just after I left, there was actually a takeover by Placer Development. They have 2 beautiful deposits in Papua New Guinea, Porgera and Mazima, and they didn't have any money. So they ramped up production from Campbell and Dome, where I was then. They turned Dome into an open pit, and they turned Campbell into a long hole mine. And over the years, while I was in Timmins, I would, I still fawned for the Campbell. I would check on what the production was, and the reserve was grossly dropping. It just went right down. And in about 6 or 7 years, I can't remember now, it went down to like 0.3 and then the 0.2s. So I called a shift boss friend of mine who had just retired, and I says, I can't make the numbers work. I mean, just because long holding, they're losing a whole pile of ounces. And what he told me then, he says, Campbell used to, you mine up. He says they'd go up to a new level and they'd start stoping across and they'd see something in the hanging wall or the footwall and they'd take it out. And Campbell was a very good mine. It had these high-grade rods of like percentage gold, and because they were so small, they couldn't drill to find them, but they just hit them. And as they'd go across, they'd see one, they'd slash it out. And what he told me was 35 or 40% of the ounces were in those rods. They were never on the books. You couldn't drill them. But when you long hold them, when you bulk mine them, you lost them. You left them in the walls. Right. So they turned Campbell into a low-grade mine, and eventually got bought by its partner Dickinson. Right. So this just isn't a Uchi thing. This is high-grade gold mines need the right mining method, and if you get greedy, and it worked. I mean, from a shareholder perspective, they got Campbell up to 350,000 ounces a year, put Porgera and Mazima into production, and so going back to Uchi, I think that's the same thing here. You got a little bit greedy and turned this high-grade 0.31 ounce into a 0.15 ounce. And so our point is we're looking, this is our model, this is our target, these types of things.
Okay.
Yeah. And just one more thing before I forget, let's see, the party wall, the boundary here north of Woco, all of the deposits north of here are, there's 60% outcrop. They're all outcrop, and it's very easy to find veins. When you're south of our thing, it turns into a bog. So this is all geophysically
How
interested.
deep would that bog be?
Probably 20 meters or so.
Okay.
Anyway, it's not giant, but it's big enough that there's no trenches down here. I did find one trench right in our claim line.
But the bog doesn't stop you from drilling it? Or?
No, but what it does, it means that we can drill it, but you don't want to go prospecting with a drill, you know, because that's expensive. And we know geophysics will help us a bit. We're considering geochemistry this summer to try to get a target there. We are drilling 2 holes here just east of the Woco. There's a little bit of a notch in the Uchi break, and that's, we think, is a pretty good drill target. Well, actually, it's on the map. We've got those 2 little stars.
Okay.
So, but that's not really prospecting a drill. We know where it is, but you know, it'd be good to get one other thing of information, one other type of information. But that's it. So the whole point of this is it's not just the Woco. Woco's great. It's 2 and 3 ounces over a couple of meters in places, and we're going to drill down plunge of that, down dip. We're going to try to expand it. But to me, the gravy in this whole thing is this Uchi break, because we know it goes at least as far as Northgate. It probably goes further, and that is the camp style potential here. And the only reason no one's done any work here since '37, and the reason is this bog. Yeah. And it's not a killer bog, it's just yeah.
Makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah, you gotta think a bit, and it's always a second generation. Okay, if we want to drill that, we really should do some geophysics or do some geochemistry or some other method prior to drilling.
Right.
We're getting our feet wet now with this first drilling 2 holes. I'd love to drill a heck of a lot more holes on it, but we don't have the right. It's not justified.
And the rocks here, I understand, are similar to the rocks that are at Great Bear.
It's the same generation of rocks. Yeah, it's what we called old guys called Cycle 2, which is the package in Red Lake. There's Cycle 1, 2, 3. In the old days, we used to say Cycle 1 was Campbell, Red Lake, and Dickinson, and Madsen, and things like that. This is Cycle 2. And so, yes, we are in the Cycle 2 package, the same as Great Bear. And they have a high-grade gold and covered by overburden. And it's the thing is, I mean, there's a reason we drill. And I used to be in uranium, and we say drill or die. You have to drill. Yeah. You can't intimate anything. You have to drill it, and you have to see it, and you have to do it. So that's the point we're at now.
Well, there you have it, folks. ARQ, Argo Gold, Bill Kerr's heading out to the property, tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, yeah.
Tomorrow morning. Yeah. And when you're done drilling, we're gonna have a stock that's way through the roof. Anyway,
I hope so.
That's it.
Thank you.
So long.
Thank you very much.
Enjoying the show, everybody? Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. Anyways, joining me now via Skype is Todd Harrison, Chief Investment Officer of CB1 Capital Management. And in a minute, I'm going to be talking to Jordan Trimble of Skyharbour Resources. But hello, Todd. How's it going?
It's going all right. How you doing, James?
I'm rocking the free world, thanks. Bit of a dip in the, or at least a pause in the effusive upside in the cannabis space lately today.
Yeah, a little bit. It's called gravity. I mean, I think the MJ is up 60 some odd % from the December low in a straight line. So, a little back and fill probably makes sense. You could argue it's healthy, but seeing a lot of rotation between Canada and U.S. We got a lot of catalysts in front of us. I think we talked about it last time we were on the show in terms of some of the things we're looking at going forward, but happy to walk through those too with you.
Yeah, you bet. Tell me about the catalysts you see going forward.
Well, I mean, there's a few that we just had. The WHO, this was very odd in November, the World Health Organization actually, came out with their recommendation for cannabis, their recommendation to the United Nations regarding rescheduling. Whether or not that can make it into the March vote for the UN, it remains to be seen. There's been a lot of chatter, soft chatter, that this is going to be a 2020 vote, but hope springs eternal. If we can get this thing rescheduled on a global basis, I think it's going to open up a lot of doors. So that's one thing. The other thing I think that just happened that's waking some people up is the Attorney General, or the new Attorney General, William Barr, had come out with some constructive comments regarding states' rights and respecting states' rights, and also the desire to reconcile federal and state law. So that's lent a little bit of a positive backdrop on the U.S. space, particularly. But I think what everybody's sort of focusing on and hoping for is banking reform, and we've talked about this for the entirety of the time that we've been on the show together. But the ability for the U.S. banking system to sort of get out of the 1950s and get with the program here is really going to open the doors, not just for these operators to be able to get some debt financing in place, which is going to change the balance sheet, but also for U.S. institutions and for these names like the BlackRocks of the world who have said they want to enter the cannabis space as soon as they can get somebody to clear these trades. That's sort of the oxy moment for cannabis, I think, at least in the U.S., but I think globally. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot to ingest. The cannabis sector had been trading in lockstep with broader markets as represented by the S&P at Q4 2018, and now that seems to be broken. The cannabis stocks are now outperforming the S&P, and even in a day like today where the S&P was more or less sideways, we have a day where the cannabis sector is almost entirely in the red. Now, apart from the expected cycle of profit taking against multiple up days by shorter-term traders and the longer-term trend towards accumulation by an ever-growing circle of global investors, what is the outlook, in your opinion, for the correlation between daily performance of the S&P versus the cannabis sector generally, and how can we sort of play that as individual investors observing the interaction between these two metrics?
I think it speaks to broader risk appetites, for the U.S. And I remember we were talking right at the beginning of January, and we were talking about how last year everybody was thinking about how the year was going to be gangbusters, and we saw how it ended. And coming into this year, everybody was sort of resolved to the fact that we're in a bear market and that we're going into recession and that things were really, really dour. Obviously, you've had a 180 by the Fed. You've had a lot of tweets by our president regarding the tariff and trade war reconciliation. And then you had, I think, primarily, a lot of people off sides. A lot of people from a positioning standpoint sold a lot of stocks in the fourth quarter, thinking that there was some rough sledding ahead, and certainly I think you're seeing a race, a bit of a long squeeze now to the upside as folks are trying to get their exposure on. But listen, we continue to like our space. The rally notwithstanding. If you kind of look back to where this space was in October, we're still about 20%. Using, again, the MJ as a proxy, but across the board, you can look at these names and say we're about 20% off where we were in October. So, looking forward for the next however many years, I think our space has a lot of tailwinds. I think our space has a lot of growth. It's one of the few sectors where you're going to see this exponential growth, not only domestically, but globally, where the conversations and things like tech are really about a deceleration. So we like this as a relative play. We like this as an absolute play. But the one thing that I will note, at the risk of speaking too much once again, is we continue to see just a tremendous amount of paper in the marketplace. Deals every day, 5, 10 more deals. Good companies looking for financing, good companies looking to go public. So there's a lot of supply out there, which kind of brings us back to the question of banking reform and when will institutions be able to step in and just swallow this supply writ large.
Mm-hmm. And is that what is pent up? Is that much demand once the banking sort of rules homogenize across borders?
I mean, we think so. I mean, again, you look at cannabis and we always kind of throw this math around, but as a $300 billion global crop, as a flower, right, as an end product, if you contemplate that $300 billion as an ingredient, which is how we look at the world, right? Cannabis and hemp are probably the most ubiquitous and agile ingredients in the world. And certainly as more people understand what this is in terms of wellness, in terms of healthcare, in terms of being good for you, not as discretionary advice, again, we look at this a bit differently. We we see this as a $1 to $2 trillion market cap in about 10 years versus, call it, 50, 75, even 100 if you want to round up for some privates right now. So we think that yes, we do think that the institutions are going to be sort of the turnkey for this. We can't really point to exactly when that's going to happen, but we internally here see that as a first half of 2019 sort of dynamic. We're looking at, just at the U.S. MSOs, you're talking about probably $5 billion top line on the street. That's way too much money to be floating around the streets. So we think as a function of need, as a function of safety, and as a function of really banks wanting to get their piece of the pie, this is going to happen sooner rather than later.
Okay, great. Craig, just in parting, what's your favorite stock of the day today?
Oof, it's like asking me what my favorite child is, but certainly we like Ianthus coming out of this deal, which is supposed to close today, Ianthus and NPX. We think Ianthus, we think Green Thumb and Acreage have pretty good looking charts. Kush Bottlers is another one. There's going to be a lot of, I think, U.S. institutions that are going to have moral qualms about touching the plant. We think Kush is probably really well positioned as a picks and shovels play for the cannabis space. So I would say those four if I was going to be marked until our next time we speak.
Awesome, Craig. Well, I look forward to that. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
In a minute, we're going to talk to Jordan Trimble of Skyharbour Resources. If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment. Hey, welcome back. I'm here with Jordan Trimble. He's the president and CEO of Skyharbour Resources, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol SYH. Jordan, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Jordan, we seem to be having you back, you and your group back regularly, because you guys are serial producers of opportunities in the mining sector. So why don't we start with an overview of Aben Resources, a company which I'm a shareholder by way of disclosure. Give us an update on that, and then we'll focus on Skyharbour, which is the company that you're the CEO of.
Yeah, so I work with Jim Pettit, as you know, who runs Aben. It's the gold company in our stable, and we had a lot of success last summer. I think Jim came on and did an interview when we were out here in August. We had just announced a pretty significant high-grade discovery hole that was about 2 ounces of gold over 6 meters, relatively shallow at what's called the Forest Kerr project up in the Golden Triangle. So one of the most prolific mining jurisdictions really in the world in Canada. We announced that hole, and we had some really good follow-up holes, and we ended up drilling, I think, just under 10,000 meters, and it was really the first larger drill program that we had carried out, that Aben had carried out at the project. So a very successful summer drill season. As you know, there's a lot of seasonality with these Golden Triangle plays, and you see the share prices run up. Aben in particular, I think got up to 45, 46 cents in big volume, and it was one of the heaviest traders. And then a lot of these companies in September through January pull back, and we've seen that with GT Gold, we've seen that with other companies in the area. But bottom line is there's been new discoveries that have been made, Aben included. There's a lot more work to be done, and going into this season, Aben's well funded. It's got about $5.5 million in the treasury. Eric Sprott's the largest shareholder, so fully funded for the upcoming summer drill program. And I'm sure Jim will be back and as the president and CEO of the company, and he'll give you the full update in the next few months. But a lot to look forward to there.
You bet. Okay, so now let's switch gears and talk about Skyharbour. And Skyharbour is looking for uranium and thorium, which is an interesting, always an interesting substance.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a uranium first company. That's the focus, and what we did about 5.5 years ago when I started running the company was we went out there and with a contrarian mentality, looking for an opportunity to build the next high-grade uranium store in the Athabascan Basin. So the Athabascan Basin, for your viewers who don't know, it's in Northern Saskatchewan. It's the highest grade, most prolific uranium jurisdiction in the world. You get grades of deposits that are 10 to 20 times the average global grade. So that brings your costs down when you actually go to develop and mine it. You get incredibly rich mineralization and ore. So we're out there looking to be that next big discovery story, right? And there's some notable examples in the last several years of successful exploration and discovery stories. NextGen being one, which has gone from a $30 million valuation to $1 billion. Fission being another one. And there's been a new look look at the geology and at the exploration that's being carried out. Historically, a lot of the high-grade uranium was found in what's called the sandstone, and more recently, some of the major discoveries like NextGen, like Fission, like Denison's Griffin deposit have been found in the underlying basement rock. So that's a key point, and that's one of the things that we're looking at doing on some of our projects. So over the last little while, we've accumulated 6 different projects. They're scattered throughout the Athabascan Basin. They range from earlier stage exploration projects to more advanced stage exploration projects. 2 of the projects have notable high-grade mineralization. One has a 43101 inferred resource. And our flagship project, which is called Moore Lake, we've been drilling and exploring for the last several years. We did a deal with Denison Mines. They're headquartered here, run by Dave Cates, who's on our board. Sure. Denison's our largest strategic shareholder, and we've acquired 100% of the project, and we're actually just about to commence another 3,000 meter drill program on this project. We had one of our first high-grade drill holes in this basement rock. I mentioned some recent discoveries being found in the basement rock. Well, we're going to go up and follow up on that and hopefully find some more high-grade.
Sure. What is the compelling fundamental argument to own uranium exploration stocks right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been a very tough commodity over the last 5 or 6 years. That's what has afforded us the opportunity to build the portfolio we've built. We've acquired these 6 projects for about $4.5 million, mostly in stock and some cash, and then exploration expenditures. They've had over $75 million in historical exploration done on them. So there's a lot of value there, and I think there's a strong re-rating potential as we see the uranium price start to move or continue to move in the right direction. But from a high level, a lot's happened in the last few years. This was a commodity that was really down and out post Fukushima. It was traded below $20 a pound in late 2016. It's about $29 a pound. So it has rebounded from those lows in late 2016. But I think the important thing is you look at what's happening. You look at the supply side. There's been major production cuts from 2 of the largest producers, Kazatomprom, Kazakhstan, which is their state-run uranium mining company. They're the largest producer. Kazakhstan accounts for about 40% of global primary mine supply. They're shutting down production. And then most notably recently, Cameco, so Canada's largest uranium company, publicly traded. They shut down McArthur River, which accounted for about 13%.
Why did they shut that down?
Simply, they weren't making money. It was more profitable for them, as they're doing right now, to buy in the spot market and then sell into their long-term contracts. So even in the high 20s where we are today, we're still well below the average global cost of production for a pound of uranium. So that just shows you that there'll likely be further production cuts, which will be positive for the price, especially as these longer-term, higher-price contracts roll off in the next several years. So look to see more supply cuts as well. And then on the demand side, demand continues to grow. You look at China, for example, they're really leading the charge. India as well. Nuclear still is that baseload CO2-free source of electricity. It's an important part of the economy in many places in the world. It powers 11% of the world. In the U.S. in particular, 1 in 5 homes powered by nuclear here in Ontario. A lot of nuclear power generation. So it's still a very important part. And the reality of it is there's not many companies left because it has been such a tough market. So that's one of our strategies. Be opportunistic when others are leaving this space. We've been able to do that, and we've been having success with our drilling. So in addition to being a high-grade discovery story, trying to emulate the success of companies like NextGen, like Fission, we also act as a prospect generator, and we recently consummated a deal with France's largest nuclear and uranium mining company called Orano. So they're coming in. They have to spend $8 million over a 6-year period to earn in 70%.
Orano?
Yeah, previously Ariba, yes. Okay. Yeah, previously Ariba. They changed their name, correct. There was a restructuring, so it's Orano now.
I learned so much about the uranium industry from my guests.
So that's a good example of us executing on this prospect generator model. We had another company called Azincourt, a similar deal where they have to spend money. There's cash payments, and then they earn in 70%. So we're looking to essentially monetize and make sure that our secondary projects are advanced with partners coming in, funding the work, and then we also get some cash payments from that as well over the next few years. So it's a good complement testament to the high-grade discovery potential we offer at our flagship Moore project. This brings in partner companies to make sure we have multiple irons in the fire, and there's both of those companies are planning to drill here in the next several months. So
awesome.
we'll have our drill program and then 2 other drill programs as well.
Okay, great, Jordan. That's an awesome update. We're going to come back to you as soon as we see some drill results and have you back.
Great.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up tomorrow, we've got some great items. Chris Naprawa was going to join us today, but he's going to join us tomorrow instead. Tina Byers from Alpha North Asset Management is going to be here. Afzal Hassan from Origin House joins us again, and he's always an interesting conversation. And until then, Ed and I are going to banter about, we're going to talk about the audience. So we want you to make fun of us, and we're going to make fun of you.
Let's wax poetic.
Does that sound fine? Does that sound like fun?
Fine.
Okay. Let's
see who's anybody got a comment.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Coming up.
Read them all.
Read them all. Read them all and wait. Fully Aware One says, "I like Liz a lot." Pretty sure that's what he said about Ricky yesterday. Simon Cleary and Les West. Oh, okay. See, this is what happens when you start at the bottom and read backward.
Okay.
What happened to eating humble pie for Namaste Technologies?
Yeah.
You mean why? Everybody's come out swinging? Well, let's just say that that's going to be a drama of the highest order for quite some time, maybe.
To be determined.
Yeah.
TBD.
Let's see. Looking for comments that we can speak to. They're talking amongst themselves a lot out there. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. We enjoy that.
Any charts you want to see, guys?
Any charts? Any interesting? Why? Fully Aware One says, "Why are my eyes red? Are my eyes red?"
No. No.
No, my eyes are not red.
No, not your eyes. He said my eyes, like you were talking like he was saying it. He
says,
his
"Why?
eyes.
Why your eyes red, James West?"
They're not red.
I don't think they are.
I read a book with these eyes. Is that the same thing?
I don't know. Troy Smith. Oh,
what's Troy Smith saying?
I don't know. He had saw it. And Troy Smith. Anyone getting gold fever?
I am.
Yeah, I bought my 5 ounces of gold. Let's see. I own 360,000 shares of that AMX.
Yeah.
That just put out a hole.
I think that came back.
Yeah,
that came back.
But let's pull up that hole. Pull up that press release, Ed, for your on the news. Let's get that press release up. So I don't know if you've been following.
You want to do the chart first?
No. Yeah. Okay. We can do the chart first. No. Yeah.
No. Okay. Here we go, folks. We gotta talk about this because this is important. We gotta look at the tail on that candle. Oh.
Look at the tail on that candle. Look at the candle on that tail.
Look at this. Look at this. See that tail? Closed at 55 cents, 56 cents after being down to 46 cents. That is a reversal, ladies and gentlemen.
Really?
That's a reversal. No. We had a little correction.
So you mean
early days?
The correction happened yesterday on the press release.
Today.
As normally happens these days with a press release that's good for a gold company, the sell-off happens into the press release. But it didn't really happen that much. And it's reversed.
No.
Today,
look, it went from 46 to 56.
What did it close at today?
56.
56.
Or 55, one or the other.
55. 1955?
56.
56.
56.
55, 55, 56, 55, 55. Man in the green shirt in the golf course. And the ladies watch.
And the ladies watch. And the ladies are watching. Hey, the ladies are watching. How about that?
Hire Kempo Consulting, Mary Kemp.
Thanks for the gift on Christmas.
Says, hire Jedi Master Dan. What happened to him? And Boss Man Steve. Okay, so Jedi Master Dan is going to be on the show. I don't know. We'll talk to Ricky. Besides being the news nurse, she's also the scheduler of guests. So we'll find out. Charting Man Dan was here last week. I don't know why he hasn't been on this week. Is there a reason for that? Ricky. Where's Ricky?
Ricky, don't lose his number.
He's traveling. He's traveling. Okay. He's always traveling. Okay, Nancy Domi from Mind Your Wealth says, many people wonder about the deal with MPX and Ianthus. It's quite confusing.
That's Nicodomi, by the way, not Nancy.
Oh, okay. I didn't have my glasses on. Here, let me try yours. What the hell do these do? It's like the whole world just went completely foggy. Not just blurry, but foggy. It's like, what do you got? Like one-way glass here?
Yeah, one-way glass.
It's like, so when you put those on, you don't really see what's going on.
No, you don't care.
Okay, Dan B, what happened to Planet 13 today?
Yeah,
got smoked.
Smoker.
Did it get smoked?
Yeah, it did.
Really? What happened?
Got smoked.
I want to know. They want to know. PLTH. What do you mean it got smoked? Got smoked? Why did it get smoked? Anybody can see it got smoked. What would you watch the show for if you couldn't tell you why? You know why it got smoked? I'll tell you why Planet 13 got smoked. It served an average of only 1,550 companies per day in January compared to an average of 1,430 per day in December. That's an 8.4 increase month over month. The market wants double-digit quarter-on-quarter into... That would be double-digit.
You know what's a safe thing to say is that most people want something else, no matter what they have.
I want you.
You know, it's that constant reach.
Day.
You always want something, and so when you get it, you no longer want it. You want something else again. And I say that is the sort of the human condition that causes most people's consternation.
The grass is always greener syndrome.
Yeah, well, you know, not only that, but like once you get what you want, then you want something else. But you can't want what you have because you already have it.
Well, I beg to differ.
What you want?
I want what I have every day, every way. I want you to show me the way. Come on, people. What band is that? Name that song. We'll give you 10 free ounces of Hey, it's for the host today, not you.
Give me that. Give me that.
The guest.
You say 10 ounces of gold?
Yes, but for the guest, it can't be a member of this. Anyways, that's it. Subscribe and hit the little notification bell so we can annoy you every day.
The control guys want to go. They don't want. You know what? You guys go home.
Sorry, we're gonna
stay on till tomorrow.
Drink beer and snort. Whoop. That's not.